someone suggests to me that, as perhaps some brothers have, or I am, that we need to make time to love or make time for love, I immediately feel a bit confused about that. I can understand time to work, time to play, time to pray, and time to love. Okay, so where does that fit into the agenda? And what does that look like? And I think, of course, I mean, God is love, and we are enveloped in God's love all the time. And I think certainly true for me, largely unconscious of that most of the time. And that time to pray, for example, is an invitation to become conscious of that love. And to try to call our attention back to that many times throughout the day. Loving others, that's also what we're commanded to do, to love our neighbor as ourselves, to love God. They're commandments. And that often strikes me as something that is overlooked. We're commanded to love God. We're commanded to love one another. We don't have to like it.
How might you love someone you may not necessarily like?
I think if most people are like me, we have this expectation of love, maybe something that's given to us. Maybe we want to emulate our parents, or maybe we want to emulate somebody on TV, and I think we go out searching for this certain love and have this expectation of what this love is. And in actuality, love actually happens to us. It's something that we can't expect. It's nothing that whatever our plans are, love is actually going to wipe that out. It kind of happens to us, and then when we all of a sudden we realize we're in it, I think we realize what a facade the other stuff was, and what a facade all the other stuff was, and we just kind of give up and let it happen. It's kind of like a load that's lifted off of your shoulders to realize that you've been living into something that you can't attain, but yet God, who can do all things, has actually given to you as a gift, and it's just like, oh, this is what this is. This is what this is so much more authentic, and you just run with it. But it's a relief. It's a relief to realize the gifts that you've been given, and to be able to be authentically yourself and not live to another expectation of what love is. Maybe that if we strive, I think a lot of us strive to attain a certain amount of love, like it's something that we can possess, or that we can buy, or that we're given. But it's actually nothing that we can attain. It's all pure gift. It happens. It just happens. It's a mystery. I don't know.
Are your expectations too rigid?
What's your identity? What are you to be about? Why don't you be a lover? To presume that why God has extended your life yet into this day is for the cause of love. To receive God's love in every way into your being, and then to reflect that love outward. Hildegard of Bingen, the great medieval abbess, said we should be mirrors. We should be mirrors, mirroring God's light and God's love with great generosity everywhere we go. Love is of our essence.
How are you a lover?
One of the jobs I have here at the monastery, and probably my favorite job by far, is that I get to take care of the monastery's dog, our 4-year-old Labradoodle. Her name is Sophie. And Sophie sleeps in my sleeps in my cell. She has a bed at the foot of my bed. And listening to David talk about the alarm clock going off in the room just reminded me of this. And I'm talking about this because I think that this is love. I have a deep sense that it is. Every morning my alarm clock goes off. And I get out of bed and I reach across to my dresser to turn off my alarm clock. And as the moment the alarm clock is turned off, Sophie jumps out of her bed. She bounds out of her bed, and she lets out one sharp yip. And it's like I imagine her saying, "Isn't this a joy? Just to get up and it's so spontaneous, it's so unrehearsed, it's so dog, and to me it just expresses what I want to believe love is about. It's just this like yippee, here I am and here's my life and isn't this grand? And loving, I think, has something to do with that kind of elation, just being.
Do you greet the day with a growl or a yippee?
Love is one of the reasons for our existence, but in order to love, I think we need to start with the truth that it is found in the first letter of John. We love because God first loved us. Our love is a response to God's great love. And we respond to that love with gratitude. Love is something which we receive as a gift from God, and it should bubble up and cause us then to respond to other people and to whatever is going on with that sense of the love of God. Because this life that we have is, for each of us, our own gift from God, which we are giving to God as a response for His love.
How does your love bubble up in response to others today?
I remember something very touching for me, and probably the greatest instance of love that I've ever experienced was when my grandmother died, and I happened to be there with my mom and my Aunt Mary, who stayed by her bedside when hospice was called in. And here was these three wonderful women who had very complex relationships at points in their lives, and right there in that room, something happened. I saw my Aunt Mary and my mom just hold her hand and tell her it was all going to be okay, that they loved each other, that not to worry about them. And there was just this amazing wash of just all of this junk that had happened over time just being released, and it was a very pure moment. And it made me realize that that in our relationships where we get hurt by one another, it's probably actually an indication that love is very, very strong, because you don't let somebody, I don't think you let somebody hurt you, or you don't let somebody in so close that you don't love.
What is the greatest experience of love you've ever had?
I think what is so central to our identity as Christians is the fact that we know that we are loved by God, and that our chief identity, or our main identity, is that we are beloved children of God. And I think this is crucial to our sense of who we are in the world, that our identity does not depend on external things, on people's approval, or on degrees, or status, or success, or possessions, or wealth, but our identity is found within. It's the fact that we are known and loved by God. So our chief identity is as a beloved child of God. And I think this makes all the difference for us, because when we have that as the core of our identity, then we're free to free in the world, not to have to impress or please or do anything else to earn our identity. We have this secure identity that can never be taken away from us. And as the first letter of John says, we love because he first loved us. And I think we become people of love once we know that we have been loved. We become able to forgive once we've experienced being forgiven ourselves. We become able to bear with other people when we realize that God has been lovingly patient toward us. So I think it's crucial to our identity, and I think that the second part of that phrase, we love because God first loved us, that second part is the work of prayer. And we need to give ourselves some time and space to take in this love day by day, and to know ourselves to be loved, and to reaffirm that part of our identity, to really make it the core of who we are, and allow it to shape how we function in the world. So how we do that, we do it in prayer. I once said to a group that I was working with in retreat, you've made so many sacrifices on behalf of the gospel and stuff. Have you ever allowed God to express God's appreciation to you? Have you ever received God's thanks for the sacrifices you've made? And for many of us, that's a strange idea, but to open ourselves to the love that God wants to give to us and wants to affirm in us day by day, I think is very crucial.
What is it about you that God delights in?